There are two major fallacies at play at the moment in national and international politics. The first is that immigration is the greatest concern to the electorate. Well, the greatest concern to the electorate, I would have thought, is the cost of living, education, and the NHS, the failure in each of those cases. And then I think possibly the international map, the threats of greater conflict from the Russian-Ukraine war, the threat of greater conflict spiraling out from the Israeli-Gaza engagement. Immigration is very much a minor consideration, except for the very vocal right wing of the Conservative Party. And that right wing is gaining the ascendant in the same way that at the moment the Israeli attack on Gaza is so dominating the news, so dominating the processions on a Saturday, that it's obliterating any thought of support for Kyiv. And without that support, Putin is gaining, whether Putin or the ghost of Putin is gaining the initiative in a most alarming way. And if we're not proactive, if we're not focused, simply by avoiding defeat, simply by holding the line until the winter, the Russians have succeeded in turning the corner in this war, because they have more troops, they have more facilities, they have greater resources. Putin is ensuring they have more money than Ukraine. In the end, the two forces in the First World War that were successful, the Allies because of the arrival of America, and the Turks because of the sheer manpower against Churchill's Gallipoli gimmick. These were the two deciding factors. Of those two, only Ataturk was actually victorious. The Allies had enough forces to compel Germany into a ceasefire and then effectively into a capitulation during the Treaty of Versailles. We're at a crossroads. Putin doesn't need to hang on for 12 more months. If Donald Trump is elected, it's very likely that there will be some sort of arrangement. Even if Donald Trump is not elected, the groundswell, the earthquake of US presidential elections is probably enough, together with Russian elections in the same year, is probably enough to be an excuse to call an end to that war, and an end on very unfavorable terms. We've got so used to hearing the word ceasefire about the Israel-Gaza conflict that chances are it's now going to be transferred to the Russian-Ukrainian conflict. And the two things are incomparable. The two things are so very different. And the Russian attack on Ukraine is about ethics. It's not about politics. The Hamas attack on Israel was about ethics, not about politics, but differently. The Israeli attack on Gaza has an ethical dimension, and a rather alarming ethical dimension, but it's about a political calculation that has gone badly wrong and should never have taken place. The three events all have an ethical element. They're all very different, but it's so easy to transfer the solution of the vocal mob of people in the street, to transfer that solution from one conflict into another. And I can very easily see the protests for Palestine being transferred to protests against Ukraine. And already we're seeing the Russian trolls claiming that Ukraine is only fighting because Boris put Zelensky up to it. I know that's not the case. I know the spirit of Ukraine, and I know the determination of Ukraine to win out against the invaders. But without support, they cannot. And if that support is compromised, there is a theory that Putin was behind the Palestinian, the Hamas invasion, the Hamas terrorist attack. That wasn't what's caused the problem. What's caused the problem, of course, is Netanyahu's pig-headedness and determination to go it alone and to raise Gaza to the ground. But there's so much more going on here. There's so much more, and pressure will come. And I worry about the consequences.